Okay. So, Gravitic, I know you already know this, but I'm gonna go on the spiel anyways. So right away, right off the bat, what you should be doing is you should be scouting out the enemy team. Scouting out the enemy team, figuring out what the enemy team's running, and figure out what they want to do. So right now we see the enemy team's running dive, so they're obviously going to try and actively contest the high ground that you are on right now. They're going to want to take control of that high ground. Your very first objective in this game is to not allow them control of the high ground, and then after that you want to make sure that Ana gets zero value from her abilities, or very minimal value from her abilities. So the way that you can contest them on the high ground is there's two ways. There's two ways that you can absolutely fuck them. One, monkey jumping up to high ground. You can either boop him. You can boop him off the high ground by using your thrusters and just running into him and getting out. Or two, you can be an Omega Cuck and try and boop him further in, so then he is in a really bad spot and he can't and he can't really get out or get support from his team. So those are two really good things that you could do. But since this is console, and the second option where you boop him in further is going to be a little bit harder for console players, because I know I used to be a console player. You don't have that type of turn radius. Um, unless if you have really low aim smoothing, then you could easily do that. But that's the two things that you're going to want to actively do. So the very first thing you should be doing is scouting out the enemy team, figuring out what they have, who they have, and where they have. Then after that, you need to formulate a plan on how you're going to counter. Then you need to formulate. You have to be like, okay, what does my team want to do? You're running dive as well. Then what does the enemy team want to do? They're also running dive. Okay, so if you put yourself in the enemy team's shoes, you figure out, okay, they're running dive. What does dive typically want to do? Dive typically wants to control high ground, go into squishies, all that shit. So you need to figure out if you guys are going to try and play counter dive into their dive. So that basically means once they dive onto your team. Hello? Did I just fuck up my things? YouTube video restarts in 3, 2, 1. Future Curly, figure this out. Okay, so you have to figure out on whether you're gonna play. Whatever, fuck it. I don't even know where I was leaving off at. Figure out counter dive. So you have to figure out if you and your team are going to engage onto their backline while they're engaging onto your backline, or if you're going to try and engage onto their tanks when they engage onto your backline. So what I mean by that is, let's just say your Ana's positioned up here. If the enemy tanks jump over here to try and engage onto your Ana while the cart's underneath of here, the best thing for you to do right now is to actually counter dive them, not to dive onto their backline. And here's why. Is because their tanks are going to get very little support from the rest of their team. So you want to be taking advantage of that by trying to burst them down as quickly as possible. Especially when you're playing like Diva, you can make sure that the Ana cannot hit her shots on the monkey. So if the monkey comes up to high ground here, same scenario. Monkey comes up to high ground here. Your Ana's positioned over here. The monkey's pressuring out your Ana. And the enemy Ana this time is over here trying to pocket the monkey. What you can actively be doing, if the monkey is weak and you guys are really pressuring them out, you can eat over top of the monkey. Use your defense matrix over the top of the monkey to prevent any incoming healing, any projectile or hit scan incoming healing onto the monkey. So it's easier for your team to burst them down. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you eat the nade that's going to be coming in, or the sleep dart. Okay, or ideally both. Okay. I have to redo my fucking reticle and everything. So your fucking Ana gets rolled there. So why are you engaging this Diva right now? You know that you just lost an Ana, and this monkey should be hard engaging onto you right now. So this is not really a great call from you, especially when you're at half HP and you only have Brig healing left. You know they're going to want to try and engage onto you guys up here, and you're one of the few people, you and your Brig are the only two people that are going to be able to counter the Monkey and counter the D.Va from being able to go up there and actively contest you guys. So you cannot only be relying on your teammates to do their job. If you're able to do that job with your teammate, you know, Brig Whiplash or Brig Whip Shot, and you with your thrusters, you can't just be wasting both of them. Right, it would be fine. It would be fine to try and pressure off that D.Va off the high ground if you still had your Ana with you, but right now you don't have your Ana with you, so you need to be playing more defensive. Ana is your main support in this situation because Ana is what makes this composition actually work. So you end up getting the D.Va demeched, which is actually kind of like an act of God, and you stay a little bit too long, almost get demeched yourself. As soon as you get that D.Va demeched, you need to just acknowledge, you need to just get the fuck out as quickly as possible. Okay, you're chasing too much. Like, you're chasing way too much on this Tracer. Like, you're following her all around the map at this point. Let's watch what your Monkey does. Let's watch what your team does in this scenario, right? While you're over there fiddle fucking with the Tracer. Like, your Monkey's actively engaging onto their tank line, anticipating that you will be there with them. When you're playing dive specifically, you guys cannot be playing split like this. In this type of dive, when you're running Monkey D.Va, Monkey is extremely dependent on the D.Va to help him dive. So with you being split diving like this is just not a good call because now it's going to put your Monkey in a really shitty position for him to do anything. So you need to be almost attached to the Monkey's hip. But you also, with D.Va, you also need to be aware of when that Tracer actually engages onto your backline. So, you know, if the Tracer's going on top of your Ana, then you should be able to help out your Ana by trying to eat pulse or eat her shots or whatever and try and pressure her out. Okay. More than likely, that's not going to be your primary job because you do have a Brig, and Brig should be with Ana and actively protecting Ana. I'm assuming this is 4100 games, so that's probably what the Brig's going to do. But you should always keep an eye out on where your supports are at and what they are actively doing, because if the Brig, for some reason, is being stupid and just walking into the enemy team frontline while your Ana's getting dove backline, then you're going to have to change your rules. D.Va is a very... D.Va's a jack of all trades. D.Va has a lot of roles and a lot of priority within the game. D.Va has to do a lot within the game. There's a million different jobs that D.Va needs to be doing. So you need to be trying your best to figure out what jobs that you should be doing and when you should be doing those jobs. So like I just said, if there's a Brig with your Ana, you don't need to be actively protecting your Ana all the time. You need to be more focused on clearing high ground, controlling high ground, and diving with your Monkey and being able to eat Ana's abilities. So you have like a laundry list of things that you need to do with D.Va, but every time you have a specific character on your team, either that laundry list expands or it shrinks. Right now it's shrinking because you have someone actively protecting your backline that is Brig. So here you need to be with your Monkey, not just playing fiddle fuck with this Tracer, chasing her all around the map. Don't be too worried on eating Doomfist punches when it's just you and the Doomfist. If he hasn't landed any other abilities, don't worry about it. Right here, once again, you're going too deep. You're going too deep to chase after that Tracer. You want to... Right there, good boop. Good job. Use this high ground. EM your Brig out. Can't really. Your Brig went in too deep there. Protect your Ana. So right there is exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was just talking about 5 minutes earlier. You saw that your Brig was too far forward. You saw that your Brig was actively brawling with the enemy frontline. Right? So what does that mean to you? If you see your Brig actively engaging into the enemy team's frontline, what does that mean to you, Gravitic? What does that mean to you? Ana has no peel. Yeah, exactly. So now your role, now that laundry list that we were talking about just expanded. Right? Now you need to change. Now you need to go put on a different hat, right? As D.Va. D.Va is a person of a million different hats. You need to go change your role here. So now you know that Brig is leaving your Ana, so now you need to be more conscious of where your Ana's positioned and if she's being actively pressured. So, that was your fault. You saw the Brig and you had the opportunity to help peel for your Ana, but you didn't. Okay. You could touch, but I wouldn't. You're just gonna get demeched if you touch. I don't think... Okay. About to say, I don't think your team's in a good spot for them to be able to recontest this. But, here... What is the point of you touching here? For you to stall... The point of you touching here is to stall out the point until your team can touch the point, right? You are basically here just for stall. You are here to allow your team to come back and touch point. Here you made a massive fuck up. Alright, that's your role right now, right, Grividic? It's just to stall until your team comes back. So, if you're here to stall, your best friend is your HP. So why are you D.Va bombing when you have basically 500 HP left? You just wasted 500 HP of stalling. Right now is not the time for you to frag. Right now is the time for you to stall. You just wasted 500 HP of just pure stalling. And that's like a full second or two, which is a lot of time in these situations. Okay? I don't really agree with you trying to stall point here, but it might work out for you. I don't know how the fuck it works out for you. Kind of. I think it did. Okay. Fine, plus some high ground, healing for your backline. D.Va's really good against Monkey. So you see your Briggs being actively juggled. Now you know that your Ana has no protection, but you see everybody in front of you. So now you're just like, okay, I don't have to actively like sit on top of my Ana to protect her, or save my boosters to protect her, just because I see everybody in front of me right now. So I don't have to worry about that. That's a good eat. I don't know if you intentionally did that or what, but that was a really good eat by you. Monkey's going super deep right now. Guys just in the cleanup. Once again, you're chasing Tracer too hard. How's that Brig flip that whip shot? Okay, playing with Monkey. Okay. Did you take reconnaissance? Did you figure out where your supports are positioned at? These are things that you need to be thinking about. You have to be like, okay, where are my supports positioned, right? They're right here, so now you need to take account. You have to be like, okay, well, if they start getting pressured, or if I hear them in team chat, like, screaming that they need help and whatever, I need to know exactly where they're at all times, so that I, D.Va, can help peel for them and help protect them. Okay. So right now, you're just doing your thing, kind of scouting, just pressuring, trying to build your ult, whatever. Just don't go too deep here. Okay, question. Why? If this D.Va was any type of smart, this D.Va's in a really bad spot. You beat the D.Va to the spot here. You sat right here, and you body blocked the D.Va from being able to go back here and being able to get support from her team. You should have just sat right here and body blocked the D.Va. Because in this scenario, you have your support. Your supports should be able to provide... your supports should be able to actively support you while doing damage to the D.Va. So you should have beat the D.Va to the spot and just body blocked right here. and not allow that enemy diva to go through. Because here it's going to be really tough for the enemy team to support her, right? Because they have a million other things that they need to be doing. So right here, you should just sat right here and protected this area from the diva to be able to go back through and being able to peel back around and, you know, survive and get healed up again. Okay, so you just bomb with diva bombs. Not the biggest fan of that. Okay, what are you doing? Okay, good job with the defense matrix there. So right here, there was a lot of dead time where you just were doing, like, nothing here. Okay? Like, look at this. Look how much dead time you're just doing nothing. Your team's actively fighting over here. You know, we can see them through the wall. Right? You can see where your teammates are at. So why aren't you actively trying to go over there and help them? Right? You see your monkey over there. You see your tracer. You see your reaper. All those guys are over here. Why are you just trying to chill? You heard nano? Wouldn't that be even more of a situation that you need to go over there and protect your monkey? Because odds are they're probably nanoing against monkey, right? They're probably nanoing to help kill your monkey, to burn down your monkey. Once again, you do have a brig, right? And thrusters come back every 4 seconds. So if you thruster over there to protect your monkey, you can get over here, thruster over here, help protect your monkey, right? Your monkey will probably survive here if you come over here and DM over top this nano tracer. And if you do fuck up and you come over here and support your monkey and then you're just like, oh wait, they don't have nano tracer over here. Well, now at this point, your thrusters are almost back. Thrusters come back once again every 4 seconds. And if you make, in my opinion, this is more of a minor mistake. Because you do have a brig actively protecting your Ana, and brig's pretty good against tracer. You have a brig actively protecting your Ana. Worst comes to worst, you're helping your monkey who's being dove upon. And your backline gets terrorized a little bit by a tracer. As soon as you realize this nano tracer isn't here and the nano tracer is somewhere else, then you'll have an extra second or two to go back and help your team. Okay? So, you should be over here actively protecting your monkey. DMing over top of your monkey, helping your monkey get out of here alive. So it's good that you DM over top of that, because you have to assume if she's going that deep, she's going to be trying to pulse bomb more often than not. You're getting hyper fixated on the ball. Your target selection here is bad. Target selections here is bad. Because it's ball. It's ball and you're playing diva. You have no CC on that ball. That ball's not weak. So why are you trying to actively kill that ball? You want to be looking for somebody who's actually killable in this situation, or you need to be just trying to survive so that your team can come back and help contest point. So in this scenario, right here, right now, you see the carts all the way over here, and they have, what, 4 people alive? They have 4 people alive. It is a 4v4 right now. So what do you think that you want to do right now, Gravitic? What do you think is the best play for you to be doing right now? Go on their backline, Ana, maybe? So, here's what I would say. Right now, you need to be assessing the situation and figure out who's where, where's where. I would just chill for a moment. Just chill for a moment. Okay, you guys do have armor up. Your brig's not actively rallying anymore, so you guys should not be typically hard engaging yet. You guys have spawn advantage. You have major spawn advantage over the enemy team. So basically right now you should just be trying to outlast the enemy team and not take too many big risks. So in this situation, what I would do if I was you is try and come up to this high ground, assess the situation, figure out who's alive on the enemy team, where they're at, and what they're doing. You need to figure out who's alive, what they're doing, and where they're at. And then you need to try and figure out what abilities they have. if you think somebody's close to an ultimate and you want to try and burst them down quickly, or if you need to figure out if Ana has her abilities. So right now, assess the situation, come up here, take this high ground, figure out where everyone's at. You see this brig, you want to start actively engaging onto this brig. Okay, you want to start shooting down at that brig, try and pressure the brig out to get the Ana to start shooting at this brig. To try and get the enemy Ana to start focusing on that brig to try and keep her alive. While you're still just up here, staying alive. Maintaining your HP, because once again, your Ana's dead. Your Ana's dead, so you can't be actively engaging too hard here. Okay? So, right here, you see this ball rolling through? It's okay for you to be shooting at him right now. But I think you're focusing on this ball just too much right now. Like, this ball's not going to die. This ball is not going to die with the amount of damage output that your team has. Dive has typically a very low damage output, and that's why when you're running dive, you want to specifically target out one person on the enemy team to actively just have your entire team just all focus that person. That's the way dive typically works. It's not about burst damage. It's all about all of you guys putting all of your damage into one person. That's how dive works. That's how this dive works. So here, I don't really think that you should be trying to actively engage. Unless if you see somebody weak. Like that Doomfist, eventually you got him to be weak. But, in my opinion, you should just be playing for time. If you see somebody weak like the Doomfist, like the Brig, like the Ana, then go ahead. Take that opportunity. But right now, there wasn't a huge opportunity. I think you should have been going up to high ground and scouting out and figuring out the situation, assessing the situation. I think you're going in too deep. Okay, you live. You're going in too deep. You know that they have a hog now. You don't want to get debunked here. Okay, cool. Chasing the tracer way too much. You're chasing this tracer way too much. There's so many more valuable targets in this tracer. Shit's just breaking down. You guys are just playing around, so I'm not too worried about this right now. You're just trying to clean up the kills and all that shit. So I'm here for it. Take high ground again. Okay, you want to actively deny them high ground while trying to scout and figure out where everyone's at and figure out what abilities that they have. Okay, kill the Zenyatta. Augers. Why would you bomb here? What was the point of that bomb? What was the point of that bomb? Bad bomb. Trying to clear mines. Okay. Yeah, that was a really bad bomb, obviously. Once again, I typically don't like to bomb to engage or try and get picks. A lot of high-level D.Va players, they'll just bomb to remech. They'll just try this. It's basically using Doomfist ult, kind of. It's like using Doomfist ult. The way that you use Doomfist ult is you burn all of your abilities, try and get a pick, Doomfist ult, and then you need to assess how much HP you have left and figure out whether or not you want to get out or not. So when you're playing D.Va, it's basically kind of the same premise, where you just a lot of high-level D.Va players, what they'll do is they'll just int into one person and then try and yeet their bomb at somebody to remech to get a second life, so then they can try and, you know, not int this time around, you know? So I typically don't like bombs for frags unless if it's like a really wide open map and there's not a lot of cover. So on this map, it's fine for you to try and go for a bomb, actually. As much as I just said I don't really like bombs for engagements or anything, this map is an exception a little bit, because what this is going to do, if you try and bomb... Let me clear out the fucking noises. Why is the screen getting dark? Why... Dude, is my Overwatch okay? Is my Overwatch okay, bro? What the fuck? So, this is one of the few maps that bombing is okay. If you can land the bomb back here, what that's going to cause them to do is it's going to cause them to get the fuck off point, and it's going to make their backline rotate. Right, so you want to try and shoot your bomb strategically in positions where you think they want to rotate to, or make it so they can't rotate. So you basically funnel them into a specific area so that you guys can create a kill box and just burst them down. That's how you want to play this scenario. Okay? So, I don't really like this bomb. Heal. Wait, how did Brick just freak you back up there? The Doom fixed? Okay. So, that's basically the premise of bombing. Do you have any questions so far, Gravitic? Any questions or comments? And not just by Gravitic, but by chat in general. Do we have any questions or comments? So Gravitic, what are 3 things that you, after watching this, what are 3 things that you should be working on? What are 3 things that you think that you should be working on? Tree. Don't overfocus. So, it's okay. So, if you know Tracer doesn't have recall, it's okay for you to hyper-focus her. Ball's a little bit of a different scenario. If he's actively being CC'd or if he's solo engaging, then sure. But, the thing I think I need you to start focusing on is your backline and what they're doing and how they're doing it. You need to be better at changing your role as D.Va in an instant. You need to be better at figuring out what your team is doing. So, you need to be better at changing your role as D.Va. You need to be I think you need to be better at scouting, figuring out who's on the enemy team and where they're at. And I think you need to be better at figuring out how to counter what the enemy team wants to do. So, how to counter what the enemy team wants to do. So, once again, it's Watch Point Gibraltar. Odds are both teams are going to be playing dive. So, when you know that they're playing dive, you know they're going to want to actively contest the high ground that you are on. So, you want to prevent them from getting on top of that high ground. The way that you want to do is by using your thrusters to boop them off or boop them further in so they can't get out easily. Or get the low, minimal amount of resources from the enemy team. So, figuring out a way to counter the enemy, figure out what the enemy team wants to do and figure out a way to counter it. Figuring out what your team is doing, and then changing your role as D.Va quickly by assessing the scenario and scouting. I have 4 things I want you to work on. Do you have any questions over any of them? Or does chat have any questions over any of those? So, Gravitic, coming out of spawn right now. Coming out of spawn right now. What are you doing? What's the first thing that you want to do? Number 1. Number 1 thing that you want to do coming out of spawn right here, right now. High ground and scout. Scout's the number 1 thing that you want to do. Scouting, figuring out what the enemy team is running and where they're at is the number 1 thing that you want to do, and then you want to control high ground. So, I like it, just in the different order. Just flip them. Scout, then high ground. Hello, Mentos. Okay. What was the point of this? You just wasted every single ounce of your DM just to sit here and DM just a bunch of damage. This legitimately accomplished nothing for you or your team. That DM just accomplished nothing for you or your team. Helping your monkey. Getting first on the Doom with this. Get the fuck out. You're kind of being a little bit... You're kind of wasting a decent amount of DM. Okay. Do not solo engage on top of that high ground, especially when you know that they're running a Brig, when you know that they are running Brig Diva, when they have a BAP, when they have a high amount of burst damage. You cannot be solo engaging on that high ground. You are, right now, you did a pretty good job at engaging with your team, besides the time that you just chased down motherfuckers. Besides when you were just solo chasing people down. You did a pretty good job at engaging with your team. But now you're solo engaging too much, and you are wasting a lot of DM so far on attack. You are wasting a lot of your abilities with a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of solo engaging on attack. It's okay for you to pressure out the Tracer, but why are you leaving high ground here? Whenever you are playing anything, doesn't matter what role it is, anything, you want to take the path of least resistance. And the best way for you to take the path of least resistance right now is to use that high ground to just walk on them. Because they won't be able to shoot, they don't have distance on you. And if you are able just to walk on top of them, it's going to force the enemy team to move backwards. We'll visualize this. If you were just up here and you pressured out that Tracer, you could have just walked forward, walked down. And then they would have had 0 distance on you. You would have had full DM, you would have had you wouldn't have used boosters, and you would have been good on HP. So now you have to use your DM, you have to use your boosters. You're going to lose a little bit of HP for you to get the engagement now, because now you're taking the path of more resistance. Okay? So, right here, you and your monkey could have just pressured out the Tracer, and then just walked on them. Or dove on this Baptiste all the way back here, since they are pushed up pretty far. Okay? Take the path of least resistance. What are you DMing? You want to DM the micro missiles, basically always. You need to eat that. Okay, you're wasting a lot of DM doing a whole lot of nothing. So, Gravitic... Oh, shit, I almost knocked over my monster. Why'd you guys lose this team fight? Why'd you guys lose? What could you have done better to help your team win? What could you have done to push you guys from the L to the W? Appeal for a Brig? Okay. Anything else? Maybe not chase the Tracer. Okay, so we will replay this. And then I will take what you're saying. Then we will assess it again, okay? So you're thrusting out here. Okay. First things first, do not cancel your fly right here. You should have canceled your fly back here, so you wouldn't be in that situation. We just dive. You need to be close quarters, close combat. You do not want to expose yourself to long sight lines like this. This is a really bad sight line for you because you have 0 protection. You don't really have a shield with you. It's a monkey shield. No, he's not going to drop it in the middle of choke because that would just be stupid of him. So you coming all the way out here, now you're able to be shot at by him. You know, it's legitimately their entire team that you're able to be shot at. If you just canceled your thrusters right here, you would have been able to be shot at by Doomfist and D.Va. And then Tracer when she walks forward. But we're not worrying about that right now. So, you want to try and limit the amount of sight lines that you are exposed to. And you need to be acknowledging what your team is strong at. Okay? So, here, obviously, once again, as everybody knows, whenever you're playing dive, you need a high amount of communication. And if you don't have a lot of communication between you and your teammates, it's not going to work. So, I can tell right here, right now, that you guys don't have any communication because look at your monkey. Look at him. He's jumping in. You don't have your thrusters back. Okay? You don't have your thrusters back. Right? And thrusters come back every 5 seconds. What am I talking? I said 4 seconds earlier. It's my bad. 5 seconds. They nerfed it a while ago. So here, what do you do now? You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What do you do here? What should you do here? Your brig got pulsed, your monkey's engaging, and you're out there with the La La Land. You should engage with monkey? Yeah, exactly. You need to be trying to engage with monkey. I mean, you might not have thrusters yet, but you should be just walking this way. If you have to, just walk this way. And help your monkey. Now that you're helping monkey, now that you walk that way and you're helping your monkey, what should you be doing helping your monkey? Should you be damaging, DMing, what? And who should you be DMing or damaging? What should you be doing here? What should you be doing? DM monkey? I would actually say no. No, don't DM the monkey. I think you should be trying to micro missile and DM over top of the brig. DM over top of the brig. Prevent the brig from getting healing from the Baptiste while micro missiling her to try and delete her. So we can see, if you would just walk forward right now, you could get out the lamp. Once you get out lamp, you need to burst lamp. But you should have been trying to DM over top the brig to prevent the BAP healing and try and delete her to force this lamp. The BAP threw down... This is a terribly timed lamp by this BAP, honestly. But you should have been over here trying to delete this brig. Okay, because Orisa, you're not going to delete Orisa, unless if she has 0 support with her, right? So brig's your #1 target. Prevent the brig from getting healing. But instead, you're out here in La La Land, and then you just see Tracer. You have this weird fetish for chasing after Tracer's ass, right? You just see the Tracer, so you come over here and you start pressuring out the Tracer. And now your monkey's left on an island. Sure, you get the kill on the Tracer, but now the people who are actively engaging onto the enemy team, now the people who actually are, I'm going to say the people who actually matter, like your nanoed monkey and your Reaper, the people who actually matter in this scenario, now they're just left on an island, because they're assuming that you're going to be there to help cover their ass. Okay? Look at this. Like, you could have been helping your monkey this entire time. Your monkey was also making horrendous decisions. Your monkey should have went on this Baptiste, but we're not judging your monkey. We're not judging your monkey play. We're judging your play. So here, you should be in high communications with your team, and if your monkey's lost in the sauce like this, and you see him just kind of, you're just like, what the fuck are you doing, monkey? Sometimes they need a little friendly nudge. Friendly. Emphasis on friendly. You need to be like, you need to call the shots. Say, monkey, this next fight, let's dive BAP on the high ground. Let's push BAP off high ground. Don't be like, what the fuck are you doing, monkey? You're a fucking moron. Why are you diving the tanks? Sometimes you just have to make that call-out target. Be like, monkey, let's dive BAP. Be nice about it. If you're callous about call-outs, nobody's going to want to listen to you. You're just a fucking dickhead at that point. You need to you need to give them constructive criticism, or just don't give them criticism. Just kind of guide them, take them and guide them the right path. Okay? Guide them. Don't be callous about it. You want to be friendly about it, but you want to be stern and be like, Monkey, let's dive bap this next play. Or next time, let's farm for Nano, get Nano, dive bap. Okay? So, you need to be communicating more as well. Right here, the fight could almost go either way, but you're making the same mistake as your Monkey is. You're seeing somebody, and you're just like, ah, movement, ah, squirrel, I need to shoot at them. No. Once again, you need to work on your scouting, figuring out where the enemy team is. If you were scouting, you would have known exactly where their BAP is at, and then you would have been able to pressure out that BAP by now. Or you would have been able to help your team pressure out that BAP by now. You don't even have to get the kill on the BAP. You just have to force abilities from the BAP. You just have to force the BAP from advantageous positioning to worse positioning. Now, obviously, your Ana here lands a nice anti, so now, yes, you should be actively trying to go after that Brig, but you should have been going after that Baptiste first. Peace out, Jason. Okay? So, yep, you're going after Brig. Perfect. Do you think it was worth bombing here? Do you really think it's worth bombing here? God, I meant to go back a little bit further. But not this far, whatever. No, it definitely isn't worth bombing here. Why don't you get the kill? You whiff. Oh, you whiff your melee. You're lost in the sauce. And you just eat your bomb this way. Wow, I can't believe you actually got value from that. Not gonna lie. Actually, you know what? You know what? That's not the worst bomb in the world. I'm not gonna be too upset about that. I'm gonna recant it. If you forced out rally here for Diva Bomb, I don't think this is the worst bomb. But did you... If she rallied after once you bombed, then it's a bad bomb. But if she rallied before you bombed... Let me see. Forcing out rally is a huge thing. Okay. I'm not going to comment about it. Forcing out rally is really important. I'm not going to be too upset about it. Too upset as spaghettis, you know? What the fuck is this doing to steal him so engaging like that? And he kills your Ana? And there's not a lot you can do there, obviously, but still. What the fuck? Okay. I completely agree with Mentos. How many bullets have you actually put into that Baptiste? How many bullets has you or your teammates put into that Baptiste? 0. I don't think anyone shot at the Baptiste. And who is the second most important person on the enemy team? The Baptiste. Brig and Baptiste are the two most important people in that composition. You could go either way. But who's a lot more killable? Baptiste. Theoretically. I mean, both of them are pretty unkillable. Not gonna lie. But if you guys should be actively looking to single out that Baptiste. Okay? Force him to use his abilities. Force out the immortality field. Force the cell field. Force those things. Force him into bad positioning. You guys aren't doing any of that. And when that diva flew up there to contest that high ground, why didn't you fly into her to boop her off the high ground? You know? I talked about this with you last time. You need to be booping the motherfuckers off the high ground. Don't allow them to even touch the high ground. That's your high ground. Protect it. Okay? That monkey trouble's horrendous. Good eating that. You hear the Doomfist in the backline. You need to be protecting your team. We all heard the Doomfist dive into your backline, right? So why are you sitting with your thumb up your ass? You need to dive. You need to counter that. You need to eat Doomfist's shotgun bullets. Okay?
Remaining.
What'd you do wrong here? You guys win. But what could you have done better? Just because you win doesn't mean you deserved it. Doesn't mean you're doing everything right. It just means the enemy team played worse than you. Just because you win doesn't validate what you're doing. And just because you lose doesn't invalidate it. But more than likely, because you lose, you're making some type of mistake. But still, you could be doing everything right and still lose, and you could be carrying and doing everything, or you could be throwing and doing everything wrong and winning. Like here, I don't know how many times you've actually dove with your monkey, but it's not a lot. Your monkey's basically playing dive with one tank. Now, I would begin to understand if you were helping to peel for your Ana. Then I could be like, okay, yeah, like your Brig is dead. You want to make sure your Ana lives. Like, duh. Easy math. Brig dead, now you need to be more cognizant about peeling for your Ana. Sure, I get that. But you're pushing out DPS. Tracer v Tracer battles happen all the time. You just need to rely on your Tracer being better, or if you have nothing else to do, or if you have the capability of helping your Tracer, then sure. But your monkey has priority over the Tracer v Tracer battle that you keep interrupting. Your monkey has priority over that. The Tracer v Tracer battle doesn't mean a whole lot, to be honest. Whoever wins the Tracer v Tracer battle, sure, like, cool. But one of the most impactful roles in the game of Overwatch is the role of tank. And if you allow your monkey to get eviscerated, fight in, fight out, just because you're trying to help your Tracer win a 1v1 against the Tracer that you know, you're soft throwing the game. Because now the monkey is going to be tilted that he's like, why the fuck am I dying so quick? And then he just sees you, he sees you with your Tracer and the enemy Tracer just, woo, wee, guys. Woo! Right? Tracer v Tracer matchups take a while. Just don't worry about them. That is not your number one priority. That's like your number 4 priority, if anything. Like helping you. Like it's not extremely important for you to actively go over there and engage onto that Tracer unless if you have nothing else to do. There's way more important things for you to be doing. Like, peeling for your Ana is cool, but you need to be fucking going with your monkey. Taking high ground here, cool. I'm chilling with this. Are they not going to contest this? Are they going to contest this? Chill with that. Immortality field first. Okay, you need to peel for... You need to make sure that you eat this Tracer's pulse bomb. I would assume in this situation that Tracer has pulse bomb. Even though obviously we can see that she doesn't. I would assume that she does, and I would try and track her to make sure that she doesn't pulse anybody. your Ana. Don't let her die. You're flashing DM a lot and not really accomplishing anything with DM. Okay. So right here, you had an opportunity and you wasted it a little bit. Right here, what do you see? You're monkey diving high ground, right? And now you see this Orisa over here. You could take your thrusters once you get them. Okay, actually you do it exactly the time you do your thrusters. I thought you had thrusters earlier than that. My bad. You're alright. Might be, I fucked up. You're honest. Your break is just... I've already talked to you about the break thing, so I'm not going to repeat it, but you do need to be more cognizant on what your supports are doing. Especially... So... You know, I'll get on my fucking soapbox again. Once again, every single one of your teammates, every single one of the enemy team, either adds or subtracts from the long list of shit that D.Va needs to do of her laundry list, right? You need to be better at taking priority on your laundry list, figuring out what your teammates are doing, if your teammates are either adding to that laundry list or taking away from that laundry list. Same thing with the enemy team. If they're adding to that laundry list or taking it away from the laundry list. That Doomfist really fucking hates her Ana. And if you see that your Brig is with your fucking monkey on the front line, guess where you need to be? More the mid line or even the back line to protect that Ana. You cannot allow your Ana to die to this Doomfist off cooldown. This Ana probably has like 12 deaths at this point. Just from probably half of them, more than half of them are from that Doomfist. Because you and your Brig are leaving your Ana on an island. You cannot leave your Ana on an island when they're running dive like this. Or this half-bastardized version of dive. And now they're playing BAP. So, getting back on my soapbox. Now you have a Baptiste. What does that mean for you? Now that you have a Baptiste, you have to be like, we have 0 stuns, peels, CC for either of my supports. So now you need to be more cognizant, save your thrusters, and be able to help out your supports more, while all at the same time being able to help your monkey dive in. Now, how do you do that? How do you figure out what you should do? How do you figure out whether or not you should be playing more towards the mid line, back line, or front line? How do you do that? How do you do that as D.Va? How does one do that? That sounds like an impossible task, right? To be able to dive with your monkey while at the same time protecting your backline, but every owl level, every pro player, every GM level D.Va does this. How do they do that? It's situation dependent. It's 100% situation dependent. But what are the key factors that you're looking for? What are the key factors that you are looking for to help you decide what you should do? What are they? BAP has lamp, I can go with monkey. If BAP has lamp, you need to figure out where the enemy DPS are. So the way that you do that is by scouting. Remember how we mentioned scouting earlier? We need to figure out where the enemy team's at and what they are actively doing. So you see, right now we can see these guys up here. Okay, you see their entire team is up here. So now you're keeping mental track of everything. Now you're just like, everybody's up there. So now you can be more aggressive because you know where everyone's at and what they are doing. As soon as you figure out that their Doomfist isn't over there, you need to assume Doomfist is on top of ship, Doomfist is wherever else. I don't know where the fuck the Doomfist would be, but now you have to figure out where that Doomfist is at. You need to be better with your scouting, figuring out where the motherfuckers are at, and then you figure out what they are doing and how you should go about countering them. Okay? Hello, Tracy. Okay? So, you see everyone over there? So now this gives you the opportunity to be more aggressive. But you want to try and save your flight, because Doomfist and Tracer both have hypermobility, and they're going to be able to get onto your backline relatively easily, right? They can both just fly into your backline, and then your backline's deleted. So you want to save your thrusters. You want to be able to take the path of least resistance, path up this way, but don't go too far in unless if everybody's through here. Because if you go too far in over here, or use your thrusters, the Doomfist and Tracer can just blink over here, Doomfist punch engage, and then your backline's deleted. So you need to prevent that. You need to allow your team to go through this little chokeway first, and then you can play more aggressive, and then you have to assume that the enemy DPS are going to flank over here, so you need to figure out what they want to do and how they're going to do it. So, DM your team through here. Even if it's a light little DM. Okay, once again, you're being too passive now. You saw the entire enemy team rotate this way, right? You saw the enemy team rotate this way, so why are you not engaging over here? Why are you not engaging with your monkey? Okay. Okay, everyone's dead. Either get the fuck out or die quickly. So, you're scouting, figuring out where everyone's at. You need to... Good job! Good job. Right there. Right there. You made the best play you've made so far. This is the best play I think you've made so far. Okay? You were looking. You were scouting. This is exactly what I was just talking about. You were scouting. Figuring out where everyone was at. Figuring out what they want to do. Okay? You see the Tracer pulse. You see the Tracer blinking in like this. And if you see the Tracer blinking in like that, using all of her blinks, guess what she's going to want to do? She's going to want to pulse. So you DM it, you eat it, perfect. Beautiful. Best play I think you've made so far. That's the most heads-up play that I think you've made so far. Now you know Tracer doesn't have pulse, so you don't need to be worrying about it. So why the... You went from doing really great to now pissing me off. Fuck this Tracer. Who cares? Who cares? She's not your responsibility. After once you eat that pulse bomb, after once you shadow her and eat that pulse bomb, which you did a great job of, she's not your responsibility anymore. You and your teammates can focus her out and all that shit. Cool. But she's not your responsibility anymore. Your responsibility now is to help your teammates engage into the fight. You cannot be soloing out that Tracer every single opportunity that you get. You're wasting a lot of time, a lot of effort just trying to solo out a Tracer. Okay? And because of that, now your positioning's dog shit. Now your positioning's dog shit because you chase that Tracer way too much. You guys get a kill on the Doomfist. Okay? Now, instead of coming down here and pathing through there, what you should do, you and your teammates, should just walk through here. Walk through here, shooting. Your Ana lands a big anti right there. So, what should you do? You're right about here and you see your Ana land an anti. What's the game plan? What's the game plan? You're right about here. You have all of your abilities. What should you do? Go into the high ground behind them. Love it. So you want to thruster your way this way, and you can come over here and shoot the motherfuckers from behind. While all at the same time, you can DM whatever shots are trying to put through that matrix while keeping yourself protected. This is the ideal opportunity for you. And who should you focus out? Who should you focus out right now? BAP. Perfect. Force out BAP abilities. BAP's a #1 priority right now. Okay? This is where you should have been. And yes, if you need to touch, you wanna be sitting over here on cart / by the boxes. You're taking the far side, okay? Right here. As soon as you see that D.Va flying up to the high ground, you need to make a split decision. What are 2 decisions that you can make right now? You see D.Va flying up to the high ground. What does that mean for you as D.Va? You see the D.Va trying to dive somebody on top of the high ground where your team is stationed at. What are your decisions right now that you can make as a D.Va now? You basically have two choices. Contest the D.Va or go after their backline. Exactly, Mentos. So, what do you think is the best call for you to do right now? What do you think is the thing that you should be doing right now? You saw the D.Va rotate up through here and going onto your backline. And you see your Tracer going on the bat. And you see these 2 over here. What do you think is the best thing for you to do? Go on the D.Va? I would say no. I would say no. Because you have your Ana over here to protect the Cassidy. Because you know the Ana's up there. Because you should be scouting where your team's at, where the enemy team's at. You should know where your team's at all times, at least. You should always know where they're at. And you know that your Tracer's actively engaging onto the Baptiste. So, I would say, go with your Tracer and focus out this Baptiste, because then it's going to allow you guys to easily, or more easily kill this Baptiste. I shouldn't say easily, because they still have Brig and Orisa on this side, but it's going to create an opportunity for you to kill this Baptiste if you and your Tracer both shoot at this motherfucker, which you should. Being too passive here, though. Okay? Ends up working out for you. Shit ends up working out for you. But just because you win does not mean you're doing the right thing. Okay? You were kind of AFK. Yeah, you did absolutely nothing. Honestly, I think if you DC'd that final fight, your team still wins. To be honest. If you DC'd that final fight, because you legitimately did nothing. You didn't protect anyone, you didn't dive with anyone, you didn't peel for anyone, you did nothing besides just sit on cart. I think if you you legitimately just put down your controller and said, I'm done. I'm done playing for the day. So, what are 3 things that I think that you should work on? Give me tree. Scouting. The season is over, yes. The season is over, Mementos. Okay, so scouting. Figuring out your role in that situation. Scouting, figuring out your role in the situation. One more. So far, I like both of those. Focusing the right targets. Yeah. Target selection was a major thing that you need to work on. I liked all 3 of those things. Work on them. I would also suggest you go back through this VOD and rewatch everything so you can learn. Do we have any questions or comments?